All right, so this next video is a little bit more complicated and complex, but it's one of those ideas that I think everybody needs to know. And for anyone in there that has any exposure to brass, especially if you like a brass methods class, anything like that, may have an idea of what I'm talking about, but this is one of those that I kind of started bringing up these ideas, and it was maybe just put in a different way to help everyone understand tendencies on their instrument. I think sometimes we think of them as being sort of snowflakes. Oh, well, this note runs sharp, but this one doesn't. This note runs flat. And so it almost ends up being like a guessing game. So that's why I started introducing these ideas in terms of partials. So if we look over here, this is going to be tuba specific. So I'm going to start with the pedal over here. That's partial 1. And we all know that partials kind of move in the same sequence no matter what the instrument is. So we go up the octave to the low B flat, up the 5th to the F, up the 4th to the B flat, thirds to the D, to the F, to the high A flat, we never really use anyways with that 7th partial, and then finally high B flat on the 8th partial. I think that's probably high enough for right now. So we have our partials numbered here, okay? And it's important to know that partial 4 is the one that we need to tune. Okay, now there are exceptions to this, myself included, where last year it worked better to tune the tubas to the F because most of their music was F to low B flat. That area was running so sharp that it worked best to tune partial 3 and then just understanding that it's going to affect other areas. But for all other instances, I use partial 4 here, and I'm going to tune all the notes from partial 4 down to partial 3. So that's going to be concert B flat, concert A flat, G, and G flat. Once those notes are put in tune, everything else is going to just come down to understanding tendencies. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about the tendencies here with these different partials. So we all know that in order to get a chord in tune, you need the 3rd to be flat and the 5th to be sharp. So with the 3rd, if we're looking right here in the center of the staff, okay, here's our B flat chord. B flat, D, and F. D is the 3rd. In order for the chord to be in tune, it needs to be about 13 cents flat. We all know that. And guess which way the 5th partial runs? About 13 cents flat. Okay, so on its own, the horn is designed to play in the staff right here, this meaty kind of middle register, in tune without touching anything. The problem is we don't always play in the key of B flat, the key of A flat, G, or G flat. Okay, so looking up to the F here on the 6th partial, that's right, so the 5th of the chord needs to be sharp, and this note runs sharp, as well as the 3rd partial. Okay, so your anything from F down to low B flat, anything from F down to this D here is all going to run sharp, all of those notes. Just like all the notes between 5th and 4th partial, so that's D, D flat, C, C flat, or B natural, are all going to run flat. So when it comes down to trying to figure out, you know, which way do they need to push in, pull out, adjust, whatever, it's really important to understand these partials and then which way they're going to run, because that just minimizes the time you have to spend thinking about it. So if you know, when I ask a student, which way does a C run, they all know 5th partial is going to run flat, so they got to push in. And that's why, like on tubas, the first valve slide is so easy to get to make sure that you can maintain this partial here and then these notes here. I mean, this is a really bad area. Partial 3 down to partial 2, so that's E, E flat, D, D flat. Everybody knows low C and low B run sharp. And so all of those notes are going to be, you have to adjust using that first valve slide. If you're lucky enough to have 4-valve tubas, especially in the concert setting, you tune that 4th valve, and then that should put you in tune on that low C and B. Trumpets, it's the same. Horns, it's the same. Trombones, it's the same. Euphoniums, it's the same. It's just a matter of figuring out, what note they are starting on. Obviously, they're, for like, say, euphonium and trombone, this will be their pedal. This will be their pedal here. This is their low, and then working their way up. So you adjust the numbers a little bit, but the tendencies are exactly the same. So it's like, you tell a trumpet player that D that's notoriously flat, you got to kick in that first valve slide. That's no different than that 5th partial there with that C for tubas. So hopefully that helps a little bit with understanding partials and intonation tendencies for those partials, so that you can make a little bit more of a generalized kind of, not a guess, but just a generalized comment there, and understanding that the horn is really designed to play in tune within these chords without any adjustment. And then this is actually what I use for our lip slur sequences with the marching band. So when we're talking about trying to come up with new exercises, we work sequentially through these. We can work non-sequentially by skipping partial numbers. That's a great way to kind of get them understanding, again, that airspeed and air direction idea, because that's essentially what lip slurs are built for, that changing of airspeed and air direction. And it gives me an opportunity to explore this idea because I'm allowed to talk to them about the overtone series, those partials, and then we do a little bit of a game there at the end of our warm-up, slur by numbers. And so I will give them a number that they have to play. I usually start on low B flat, and then we work our way up and back down, and I can kind of play around with, again, non-sequential and sequential. And it's been a really big push. The past couple of years has been trying to get them to expand that range. I mean, the show oftentimes for our like first trumpet or even our mellophone players is going to go up pretty high. So getting them up onto that eighth partial, no matter the age or the part, has helped tremendously. And then that allows us to kind of move seamlessly into the next year, making sure everybody's got a good understanding of, again, partials, overtones, how to move between them using airspeed and air direction, and the effects on volume.